as a preamble to what's about to follow, this is me, Galen. Hiya, it's me, Galen. Gets the Parkinson's Halloween special. Oh, now I'm going to tell you a bit, and then we're going to get into the dungeons. So this is first ever Dungeons and Dragons game I ever owned, from 1979, and I ordered it thinking I was going to get a copy of Sorcerer's Cave. And I ticked the wrong box, and I went to the post office and this came, and I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard of Dungeons and Dragons in 1979, never heard of Gary Gygax, didn't know what Citadel was, there were no Games Workshops. So it really, I was a Napoleonic Wars guy, a bit of an interest in board games. I did some Middle-earth games using miniature figurines. Their figures were for Middle-earth war games. They were licensed by the Tolkien estate. So I hadn't played anything like this. The whole idea of sort of role plays and dungeon masters, no, I did not know. Having said that, I was 22. So it just shows how the world has changed, because I don't think many youngsters today will get to 22 years old without knowing what a role-playing game is, or what a Games Workshop is, or what Citadel is. So that's the preamble. So I thought it'd be nice for Halloween to bring it out. And I've not played this game since, well, probably the early mid-90s, because I used to play it a lot with groups of kids, and my own children, who I'm hoping, if they watch this, will recognise it. They both recognised the cover when I showed them the pictures of the cover. So I think pretty much anyone who's been related to me, who's known me, at some time or other, I've dug out the Tomb of Horrors. The only other proper Dungeons and Dragons module I had was called the Glacial Rift of the Frost Giant Jarl, and it was so impossible to even get into the Glacial Rift that we all gave it up as a bad job and started writing our own. So that didn't last. So that's the preamble, and now I'm going to start the legend of the two. Somewhere under a lost and lonely hill, a place of grim, foreboding aspect, lies a labyrinthine crypt. It is filled with terrible traps, and not a few strange and ferocious monsters to slay and trap the unwary. It is filled with riches, both precious and magical. But in addition, there are aforementioned guardians. Demi-Leech, who hides this as his final haunt. Be warned, the tales have told that it is unlikely that any being of this modern world possesses the powers which may make him defeatable. Accounts relate that it is quite unlikely that any adventurers will ever find the chamber where the Demi-Leech Assessarac lives. The passages, the rooms are fraught with terrible traps, poisonous gases, miasmas, magical protections. Furthermore, the Demi-Leech is so well hidden in his lair, and as in the lair itself, that even those who avoid the pitfalls, they will not be likely to locate their true goal. Only large, well-prepared parties of the bravest and the strongest should even consider the attempt. And if they do locate the tomb, they must be prepared to fail. Any expedition must be composed of characters of the highest levels. They must be prepared to die. They must be of a varied class, of magical weapons, protections. They must equip themselves with every device possible to ensure their survival. Are you prepared to be those adventurers? If so, I will reveal the place of the tomb. Think carefully. This might be your final decision on this earth. So you are prepared. You wish to take this next step. I will now reveal the whereabouts of the tomb. The tomb lies somewhere in the vast swamps south of Sunday. I will never see you there. And so, my friends, we find ourselves facing the vast swamps south of Sunday. They are vast. There are ruins here, 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 and here. There are also dragons slap bang in the middle. So, the tomb is one of those four sets of ruins. Okay, here goes. We're going to set off. So we prepare ourselves as you would with food. We're allowed 10 days food, 10 days water. Everyone's carrying their equipment, which we have on lists. We know what that is. In actual fact, from the town of Sunday, which is up here, which is an elven town, it's probably half a day. So they would arrive on the edge of the swamp at noon, and then you've got to double that progress through the swamp. The woodland would be okay, so it's going to take the rest of the day. So we're going to get to the area of the ruins and these forests here sort of about 6 p.m. So first of all, I'm going to throw, if I get a 6, we've had an encounter that we need to resolve quite dramatically. So let's look at that first of all. Not all encounters, sadly, are going to be in the dungeon. We haven't even got to the dungeon. So going there was relatively insignificant. We threw a 1. Right. So the next question is that the tomb? Well, the odds of it being the tomb have to be on the lower end at the moment. So I'm going to say has to be a 6, and that's the tomb, because that'd be dead simple, wouldn't it? And it's not. That's not the tomb. So we camp out. We cross off our first day's food and water. Now we've got a woodland here. We do have an elf and a ranger in our party, and we're in a swamp. So the chances are, I would say as a dungeon master, there's plenty of water, there's plenty of food. And this part of the journey is easy for that type of party. This is the tricky bit here. So again, like we did before, a 6 would mean a random unpleasant encounter. No, we've not met anything. And we are now in these woodlands for the night. So tomorrow we cross this area of swamp. And we'll spend the night in that woodland. So again, do we get a 6? No. So we've not encountered anything nasty. We're still finding food and water. Everything's fine. Tomorrow we're in a position to check to see if we've discovered the ruins. Now if the first day was a 6, let's call this one a 4. Yeah, 4 or a 5. 6 is still a miss. I've just made that up, but it's how I feel. No, it's not. That's not the tomb either. So now we've got to go deeper. Now we're looking at crossing the area of the blue dragons. So not only might there be a 6 for a random encounter, now I'm going to add in 5 of the blue dragon spotsers. 4, we see a blue dragon, but it's a long way away. 1, 2, or 3, we don't even see any blue dragons. 4, we see a blue dragon in the distance. Perhaps we take cover, but it flies on and we just noted it. Oh, blue dragon. Oh, yeah, I've got my book of dragons. Spotter's book of dragons. I'll make a note. So we carry on and we end up in this woodland. Spend the night in that woodland. Perhaps don't light any fires tonight, lads. Okay. We've done the test for random stuff, but I don't know. Perhaps there might be some random stuff in the night. So at 6, something random happens in the night. No, it doesn't. Okay. There's probably, there's normal noises, owls and stuff, but there's nothing abnormal. So we use the fact that we've got an elf and a ranger with us, and we come through this woodland into these ruins. Now, there's only 2 left. So this must be 4, 5, and 6. And this is the Tomb of Horrors. No, it's not. No, I was quite optimistic there. So, coming down here to those woodlands, to that there, and that woodland would be a full day. From there to there is a full day. I can see all these squares marked off. That's what's telling me that. So from there to there, have I had a 6 for a random encounter? No, I haven't. Okay. So now I'm going to go from there to that end of that wood, and I'm going to stop at the edge of that wood. That looks like a good place to stop. I've had a good random encounter. Yes, I have. I've had a random encounter. Oh. Okay. So I'm going to find out what the random encounter is. I better stop for a sec, and then I'll come back and tell you. Well, I consulted my random person chart. And the random we've come across in the woodland is this giant of a man with a huge club. And he offers us, in exchange for a day's rations, his club, his enormous club, which appears to be, to be honest, nothing more than a branch of a tree. So he's basically saying, well, give me a day's food and I will give you this thing I've snapped off a tree. And so we have that to make us a decision. So he's not threatening, he's not starving, he's not begging. It just seems to be some strange general question. Now my feeling is that it's a bit random to be nasty. He doesn't feel nasty. We can ask the cleric, perhaps, to judge his intentions. And the way we do that, in the way I play as a solo game, I use Test of Honor dice. And he's a cleric, and he's doing what a cleric needs to do. So that gives him 4 dice. And you always need 3 swords for success. We throw them, and it's a success. The cleric does not consider this man to be a threat. We've got plenty of food and water. We're finding it everywhere. And so on my decision, I make the general consensus of opinion a lot easier as a solo player than it is when you're in a team, is we're going to accept the deal. So we offer him a day's food. He accepts it graciously, and he gives us a bit of log. And he disappears through the trees towards the swamp, and we are left with a big giant log, and it's night time. This is the last place to search. Oh, it doesn't take a brain, does it, to tell you that this is where the demi-leech is going to be. So I'm going to read you exactly what it says here in the original Journal of Horrors. I'm just going to read it. Oh, mystical earth movement. The party has arrived at the site of the demi-leech's last haunt. Before them is a low, flat-topped hill about 200 yards wide and 300 yards long. Only ugly weeds, thorns and briars grow upon the steep sides and bald top of the 60-foot mound. There are black rocks upon the top of the hill, and when seen from around 200 feet away on the hills approaching, from which one looks down, it could be seen that the whole area is shaped like a human skull, with the piles of rock appearing as eye holes, nose, and jagged teeth of a grinning death's head. So we can make a thorough inspection now of the north side of the hill, which is the side that looks most promising. A thorough inspection and search of the entire area reveals only that the north side of the hill has a crumbling cliff of sand and gravel about 20 feet high. In about the middle of the hole is a stone ledge that overhangs. Shrubs and bushes obscure it from proper observation. So we're going to investigate it. We're going to send some of the adventurers, send a couple of dwarfs, send the dwarfs and with their axes and give that a smack round, clear that all away. What did that say? It requires a full turn of searching each 10 feet of this cliff area. Searching must be done from a distance with a long spear or 10-foot pole. Dwarfs have come back and said, no, we're not doing it. The only person who's got a spear or a long foot pole is this elf. So these are the dwarfs, look. They said, no, sorry mate, we can't do it. Either get that big, you know that lad we swapped that sandwich for, get his big log, or get that lazy bottomed elf to come and do it. Sat there brushing his hair. Come on, get a move on. So the elf's gone forward now, because he's got a spear. Prodding must be high in order to collapse sufficient material. Yeah, but he's an elf. He's not daft. And eventually he exposes a portion of a tunnel entrance. Now the entrance is exposed. It requires about 1 hour for 6 characters working in teams of 3 to thoroughly clear a passage. So I've got 2 teams of 3 and a wizard who don't want to get dirty. So that's going to take 2 teams of 3. It will take 1 hour, 6 characters, teams of 3, thoroughly to clear a passage. But a crawl space could be opened in 1 turn, digging with swords and hands. Now, I don't want a crawl space, I want a proper hole. So them lads are digging a proper hole. And eventually, at the end of an hour, a turn, it all falls apart, and they can see what they've done. So I now have to go and look at my map. I'm here. Okay, so that's the first question I want to answer. It's hard, that, because I know everything. When I'm a dungeon master or a player, you don't know everything. You only know one thing, don't you? So I'm going to throw, and I'm throwing this D6, and it's going to tell me something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Oh. Right. Something's been revealed. I'm going to show you what it is in a minute. And so, as nightfall, we find ourselves looking down to this tea chamber. Decided to heed all the advice about the terrors within, and will not be venturing 1 foot into the tomb. All we've done at the moment is cleared away around this entrance area. That's what's taken us several hours. And beyond that, you can see this. We don't know at the moment exactly what that's letting us in for, but that's the way forward. So we will sleep on that tonight, not necessarily peacefully.
And so I would question the wisdom of all who dare enter the tomb of Horus. Become, you foolish folk.